Hello, we want to welcome you to our show today, the Sunnyside Community Voice. We're really excited about our show today. As always, we try to give out information to our general public to let them know some things that are going on. And today we have an exciting show because it's something that we really don't think about. As Joe Q citizen, we may not even think about this, but we all have been in a hospital. Most of us have been in a hospital. We've been in a doctor's office. We've had various ailments, and this show is talking about something just a little bit different. We're talking about tort reform, and I would wager that very few of us know what tort reform is. Know what it's about and how it affects us. So today on our show we have, as always, to my right we have our CEO, Pastor Nash, is here with us. And then to my left we have our special guest, which is, and I want to pronounce that right, it is
Deirdre.
It's Deirdre. Miss Deirdre Dixon Gilbert. She's going to talk to us today about tort reform. And how she got involved with it is through it's a personal thing with her. And we're glad to have her here with us today because she brings us a lot of information on it that very few people, again, I have to say, I wager that they don't know what tort reform is. But this is some great information, and what it will do, it will open your eyes to things that are happening around you, and that we should find out about these things. We should read up on these things. So, Deirdre, we're so glad to have you here with us, and we're going to open up with you telling us a little bit about yourself and letting us know how you got involved with tort reform.
Okay. Well, I'm with Jocelyn Y. Dixon Foundation.
Okay.
And basically, it was created as a foundation to educate and to inform others. Not necessarily with what I went through with my daughter's case, but research on disabilities, because she was one of special needs. And doing other research, I decided that it needed to go a little bit deeper. And that's when I started doing other things to find out how I could help the community and help others be educated about tort reform, which is something that I had never heard of, heard of until it happened to me.
Exactly.
And I think that's where a lot of people say they never know until it actually happens. And so it's an entity where I just wanted to maintain a culture of patient safety, where I can educate, not just on medical negligence, but patient safety as a whole, because it entails quite a bit. Whether it's you being able to talk to your doctor about what's going on with you, understanding what's going on with you, being able to get your medical records and look through your medical records and to know what is happening with you, because we don't know.
No.
We don't know. It's an entity where I wanted to form partnerships with other entities, medical industries, and patients, so that we are all informed, or all as one group, to help one another to come up with some decisions of how we can come up with a better way to suit the issue. And other things were just to empower research. Money is not involved in certain disabilities. And so, as we were talking earlier, that is an area that I would like to reach a little more into, getting grants out and to help that, to get that information out. And so it's a charitable 501c3, and it's just used, once again, like you, a tool of voice.
Exactly. Pastor, we've all been involved in various, you too have been involved in various things, but I guess what's about this show here and about what's happening here is that you need to know. There are things that you need to know. You just need to know.
You need to know.
And a lot of us, I always go back to my grandmother, that when she goes to the doctor, when she went to the doctor, she's not with me now, but when she went to the doctor, she'd just tell the doctor, I just don't feel good. Just give me something to make me feel better.
Right.
Well, that's not how it's done, you know.
Right.
And what patients will do is they don't ask enough questions. Number
Okay.
one, to me, you need to ask a lot of questions. If there's something that makes you uncomfortable, you need
Right.
to ask. You need to ask about it.
Right.
If it's something that feels just a little off to you, that just don't sound right.
Right, right.
You need to ask, and you need to be made comfortable, because what you're doing is you're entrusting your life. You're entrusting yourself with this person, so you want to know. So I thank you for wanting to inform us about a little bit about tort reform. Pastor, do you have any questions for?
First of all, let me welcome you to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
The tort program. These are things that the public really don't understand.
Okay.
I know they put a ceiling as to how much money you could really actually sue somebody for,
right,
in case of malpractice or whatever. And I'm talking to you, and I'm saying that you kind of like being rebuffed, and a lot of times a lot of resistance as to getting to the people that you need to get to in order to get the information that you need. That got to be frustrating to you. So I would say to you that any way that you can get it out, because it's about informing the public about things that we really don't know about.
Right.
And if you don't have a lot, if people don't really know about things, sometimes they have a tendency to just quit because you meet so much resistance. I'm telling you, just listening to you this morning, that anything that we can do, that I can do to help, because to me it's important that you're not the only one. There are others that we need to be identified. After this show, maybe we might need to do another show on this to further educate the people on this particular issue, which I think is very important, because there are such things as I don't want to say that, where we don't really want to expose different things because we're afraid that we might venture in an area that too many people might be involved. And
correct.
You know what I mean? And there's such a thing as a code of silence.
Correct.
Exactly.
So these are things that need to be known. So we're going to let you talk about that for us,
yes.
okay?
First and foremost, just give our general public what is tort reform.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is tort reform?
Tort reform actually was just an avenue when doctors were saying that there were a lot of frivolous lawsuits. Okay. And tort is just monetary damages. Okay, and so basically what they did was they capped it at $250,000. Okay, they back in 2003 it was called Proposition 12.
Right.
And it came out, but the wording of it, as I talked to some people about it, said that they did vote for it, but the no meant yes and the yes meant no.
Oh, wow.
They also put it out at a time that we don't normally vote, which was in September.
Right.
So it made it very difficult for people to really understand that. And it came out right after the McDonald's case with the lady with the hot coffee.
Yes, yes.
And they were saying too many people are filing frivolous lawsuits. Doctors are losing their license and, these kinds of things. And so they capped it.
Right.
What happened with the cap, and it wasn't until it happened to my daughter, that medical negligence happened to my daughter, that I really found out the deep details of it. Because you don't know just looking at it from the outside. If it never happens to you, you probably, like you say, you will never know.
Right, of course, yeah.
But it was some other things there that was not allowing me to get to the truth. And so one of the other things that they did was they wanted you to get an expert witness report. But the expert report has to stay about the mental state of the person who's done the harm.
Of course.
But at the Fort Worth Courts of Appeal, they've stated that that's literally impossible to do. And with that, you will never, ever get a case to trial.
Wow.
Which is a violation pretty much of our Seventh Amendment.
Right.
We can't even get it to trial.
Right.
It's not that attorneys don't want to take the cases, but you found that a lot of attorneys have gotten out of tort reform, medical mail. They're not doing it anymore. They've lost their practices and gone to something else if they can.
Right.
And so talking to the attorneys, the only thing they could say was that the tort reform is causing you not to be able to get there. And it's a money thing.
Yeah.
And that's a sad thing, because
yes.
they're saying that it takes if you get an expert witness, you got to pay $20,000 or $50,000 to get it. They cap it at $250. You have to pay attorney's fees, which is 1/3 of that.
Okay.
So actually, at the end of the day, you get zero, which means that the attorney has to come out of pocket,
Right.
you know, with contingency,
Of course,
which makes
yeah.
it bad. So an attorney at this particular point really don't want to put that type of money into it because they're not guaranteed that they can find an expert witness to testify.
Right.
And I mean, it's all across the states, all across the country. We can't get any help. And so with the expert witness report, with the cap, all of those things have caused us not to be able to get anything done.
So what I'm hearing is that you have you have everything that you need. You have your documentation. You have your you have what you need to move forward.
Yes.
But because of the tort reform and because of the cap and because you can't get a lawyer, you're stuck holding a lot of information that's really not doing you any good because you can't do anything with it.
Right. And then because there is no mechanism that's set in place to monitor the hospital systems,
Right, of course,
that they didn't do their part.
Yeah.
When they didn't report it, then it's not known.
Didn't exist.
So it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting the time frame because they give you a time frame, 2 years. But it's not really a time frame for me because you covered it up. If you cover it up, it's not a time frame. But most people don't find out that there has something happened to them until that time is over. Because I've noticed a lot of people who've had, you know, things left in the that they didn't know for years.
Yes.
By that time, your statute of limitation is over with. It's
Right.
nothing you can do about
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
I was lucky enough to have background knowledge in medical coding and billing, more so than others. So as a mother and as a, you know, I was able to see more than a normal
That person
person.
would.
I was able to read her records and able to understand the terminology because that's another issue. If you don't understand the terminology in the medical field, or even as an attorney, because they use these words tort and all of these things, people don't know what that means.
Don't know what it means.
No.
They really don't know what that means. So basically they have just non-economic damages. It's capped. It's nothing can be done. And the doctors are actually getting away with a concerted effort of doing absolutely anything they can do. And I don't think that that's fair to a human life.
Exactly.
If you understand. Because as you were mentioning earlier, if there was some sort of whale that came up on the beach, they spend millions of dollars
Exactly.
to give that
Exactly.
whale
Study,
a home
Right.
or to keep it alive.
Exactly.
But my question was, how are you immune because you're behind a white jacket? Because I don't know, there is no other entity on earth that you work in that if you were to falsify records or if you were to, you know, kill someone, that you would not go to jail. But that's not the issue in this particular case. And that's where I have the fight. That's where the fight comes in because when I looked at the numbers of 1.5 million people, that's a lot of
That's a
people.
lot of
That's
people.
a
Yeah.
lot of people.
And we're talking about maybe this morning I talked to a medical scientist. He called me, and because his son was the victim of medical negligence, but he just so happened to also understand medical terminology.
Exactly. Exactly.
But his findings is 400,000 people in the state of Texas. And this is going unnoticed. And no one is doing anything about it. And I called it, and my words was genocide. Is it a form of some way
Of course it is.
genocide?
Of course it is.
And you can
And
get
people
away
want to call it
with
like
it.
it is, but that's exactly what it is.
Yes.
You know, also, you and I know that it's according to the extent of the timeline as a person has a condition. It doesn't take long for 250 to add up when you start looking at these bills
Yes.
and all of these charges they put into play. $250,000, that ain't no money for
That's
somebody who has
not.
a condition. So what you're doing here, you're
Surely
really
not.
informing us because a lot of people out there don't understand it. I was against the cap anyway. It didn't matter who, people filing frivolous lawsuits and all that. But looking from a medical standpoint, that's another ball game in itself, because we know that when a person spends time in the hospital, the charges mount up. Even the aspirin might charge you $7, whatever. But we're looking at a situation where I see, I think somebody's scared of whistleblowers or something like that. People, code of silence, and you almost given to making a pledge of silence or something like that. If something happens to me, I think that's wrong, because if there are indeed people out there that know situations, know cases like that, regardless of what the medical field says, the people behind the white jackets, as you say, I believe it would be, I think it would be wrong for a person to have evidence of this type of behavior and not really let the public know about it. It should be known, because guess what? Somebody's capitalizing. If they're afraid that you're going to blow the whistle, it got to be something in place there that keep you from going to the authorities. I would say to you, what you're doing here, you are informing us of something that we've known for a long time, that putting a cap is not the right thing to do. How many lawsuits are you going to find anyway that amount to $250,000? Because most cases, medical situations, we don't count that, because when you talk about the body, you're talking about the mind, the heart, and all of that.
Correct.
So these, what you're doing, you're informing us. We need to know this. Todd, we need to spell it out for us so they'll know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, because it's actually, they're saying that it's a willful and wanton negligence, that they willfully did it. And I can't say that when he first walked in, that he willfully did anything. But we know that his behaviors of what he did after he did it is what you call willful.
Exactly.
And so the terminology, once again, the twisting of the words, and making it very difficult for a normal layperson to understand or to get any help.
Well, I think you'd be unkind, because there's such a word also as cover up.
Yes, because what you probably didn't know either, that $250,000 cap is not for everybody.
No.
Because it's $100,000 if you go to a county hospital. It's different, because they figure that you are getting charity. And so it's no longer $250,000, now it's $100,000. And that means they can put a lien on it. And if your bills was $500,000, then guess what?
You get nothing.
You get nothing. Plus,
you
gotta pay them the money.
Yeah.
It ain't too often you find in kind in that field.
No.
But you know, $250,000 for a life. That's what you're saying to me, because some of these medical malpractices take lives. It takes lives. So what you're telling me is that if you take my loved one's life through negligence, the only thing that I can get out of it is $250,000 if I can get it to court. Now, I got to get it to court.
You gotta get
I got to
court.
get somebody to take it to court. And most of that's coming out of my own pocket, because the lawyers are going to look at where they're going to get paid from. So you're telling me that a life, you go back to that beach whale, that a life is only worth about $250,000, and in some cases $100,000 if I happen to be at a county hospital.
Correct.
It's just not right.
Right.
It's just not right.
Right.
Which one? Not right.
Which part you want?
Nothing about the life being not worth more than $250,000.
It's
how do you put a premium on life?
You can't really put a cap on that, because that was one of the questions that I had. I said, I can't bring back my daughter. I said, you can't pay for her combing my hair. I said, you can't pay for her, telling me I love you, Mom. I said, I can't bring that smile back. I can't bring her back. I said, so how do you put a price on a life? I said, because my daughter's life was precious to me. I said, she was special needs, which made it more special.
Yes.
Because she, I had to give her more of my time. But I loved her with all my heart, and I couldn't understand. I said, how do you give a number to that? I said, it's absolutely impossible to give a number. So I don't know how they decided that. I'm assuming that it became that way because they knew that it would be difficult to get an attorney to take your case. And with that, if they could any way they could figure out ways, because one of their reasons was, doctors were leaving, but doctors are not leaving. And I would say that if you're that good, you don't have time to move.
No, and you need to be going anyway.
Right.
And to the viewers, our guest here is informing us concerning tort and the cap put on a medical issue, not just medical issue, any issue that involves maybe being, I don't want to say this, reimbursed for some treatment or whatever, because too often now, it doesn't take much, especially when lawyers are involved, for that total of charge goes up.
It's over.
I can also
Right.
see where an attorney will be reluctant to get too deep into a situation like that, whereas they got to go in their own pocket sometimes. If not the doctor leave, but sometimes the lawyers leave because of that. And I know you got attorneys out there, but they're not going to give that much time. So that's
Right.
what I want you to tell the viewers. Don't expect an attorney to come out of their pocket for a situation where they might not get anything, even though they might have the heart and the passion for it. But, I mean, stand with it. That's why I commend you. Believe me, your voice is going to be heard. And what you probably find is some more people lining up with you for this issue, because it's too much happening in that field that we don't know about it, because it concerns medical technology and all that. We don't know about it. But your daughter, it got to frustrate you. You run into all these brick walls and all these unanswered questions, and you're doing the right thing by pursuing this here. And I really commend you for doing that. And I promise you're probably going to get some more voices to line up with you on this.
And I have, and that's what's so amazing, that since I've been in this for a year and a half now, I've met people all across the country who has called me, who has come to my radio station, Life radio show on Blog Talk, and talked to me about these things. And so I'm not really alone, and they're looking for the same thing I'm looking for. However, I'm a different type of person. I have a heart, and I can feel I have passion. And once again, like you said, I can't bring my daughter back. I can't bring her back, but I can try to help somebody else.
Now you say you had a radio show. Why don't you tell the viewers how they can call your show and how they can line up with you to bring information? You can share more information over the airways. That's important.
Okay, it's called Life Radio Show. And you can go to blogtalkradio.com and just click in the search button, Life Radio Show. I'm on every Thursday at 5 o'clock p.m. And if you so happen to miss the show, you can come back later and it's downloaded and you can listen to it on your iTunes. I've gotten, within the last month, my shows I've gotten about 5,000 listeners within the last month. And they have been very concerned with the issues. And I've been getting emails and letters that says, thank you, for allowing us an opportunity to say what's on our minds. We're just trying to figure out what is a good way to get the help that we need. Can we work with our legislators? Can we work with our governors? Because there are some who have worked with their governors to change some of the laws. But the laws have to be changed. It's going to take an overhaul of the system, because we cannot allow our hospitals to become what they call self-insured now. Of course. And they are self-insured, which means that they have no monitoring systems.
Exactly.
And pretty much I do whatever I want to do. And I think that's too much power in one spot. And so with that kind of power, you tend to lose it, your focus, and what is necessary. This is not a bashing of doctors, because as I explained to you before, my daughter had doctors for 22 years. They were excellent doctors. They kept her alive, and you saw the picture of her where she came from to where she was. So you can see that they fought to keep her alive. So it's not about that, but we need to know. I mean, they have these secret things like the National Practitioner Data Bank, which is a secret data bank of all of the doctors' histories of medical negligence. But once again, we're not privy to that information.
Right.
So we don't know what our doctors are capable of doing.
I like that word, that medical negligence. I like that word. It kind of like hit on that. What do you find in that word? What you think the doctors, maybe there was some negligence in how they was giving you information as to what really happened to your daughter?
It was a cover-up. It was clearly a cover-up all the way to the very end, all the way to right now.
Okay.
And I mean, it's all the way up to our governor's office, because I informed him of the issue, and they just shut down on me. And I thought that was not a humane thing to do, is to shut down, but to help me as a constituent and as a person who put you in office, to help me figure out solutions to what happened.
Exactly.
But instead, we were finding, you know, this is a friendship. It's a loop of a lot of people together just covering up. My daughter's death was a cover-up. I mean, the two doctors that were involved were friends. They live on the same street. I mean, how convenient can that be? I mean, for you to know that you've done some things like this, I have evidence, and you're telling me, even with an autopsy report and medical records, that there is nothing that I can do?
Exactly.
I mean, some people can't get an autopsy report.
Yeah.
I was lucky to get an autopsy report.
Exactly.
I was lucky to get a doctor who cared enough to explain to me about that.
Do you really think that, as luck, or do you think God was in that plan?
Oh, God was all the way around. I mean, he has been to the point of giving me so much knowledge. Like I said, I have no earthly idea how I become so knowledgeable in this little short period of time of all of this information. It's overwhelming. I mean, the numbers. I mean, even the fact that placing under medical negligence, or they put rape and sexual assault under that.
You know,
so that's not good.
Right.
Yeah.
To tell me that, you know, an 85-year-old woman being raped in a hospital setting, I mean, she couldn't sue because he was immune. He was immune. And I mean, from being sued because of the tort reform. So I have an issue with the word tort. That is the whole thing. Change needs to happen.
Exactly.
I think laws need to be in place, and they were put into place. But I don't think laws should be set that suit you or suit whatever your agenda may be.
Well, I can tell you now that this is going to be another show.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of information to get out
It
there,
is.
and you've given us a lot thus far. We want to hope that someone out there that was listening that this information will help, and those that talk to you on your blog show now has a way of seeing who they've been talking to
Yes.
now. If you want to see this particular show on tomorrow night at 10:30, if you go to visioncelestial.com and click on the little TV, you can see on your computer live. The show will be aired on tomorrow, and if you have the converter box 38.1, you can see the show live. So there's a lot more to this. There's a lot more information out there. There's a lot more for us to get. There's a lot more questions that need to be asked. So we want to thank you, Deirdre, for being here with us today and bringing this information out to us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Yes.